And we are rolling. That's right. Welcome back once again. It is time for the Boston-based hockey vlog that you have come to love and make a part of your life. It's time for the Smoking Puck, brought to you by the Reverend Sully Network here on the Eric O'Sullivan channel. Please smash that like button, and if you haven't already, subscribe to this small but growing channel. I don't do YouTube professionally. I got a day job, but this is a great hobby, and it's what I do to pass some time and to make connections with other people. And now this is a great little station that you've come upon. We talk about sports, hockey in particular. We talk about pop culture, comic books specifically. We talk about cooking. I'm a professional chef. I share my hacks with you. I have a playlist for that. Look it up. Talk about spirituality. I am an ordained minister of independent faith. Ordained on the internet in a dubious way, close to 30 years ago. But, I have the mentality you just can't show up to a monastery thinking that being a priest is going to be a good career. It's not the 16th century anymore. You had a calling. I had a calling, a spiritual awakening. So I chose to make that a part of my life and part of my identity and a part of my personal mission. So tune in. I make frequent videos about gratitude, the transformative value of gratitude, and how can it make your life better and how you can pay it forward to others by showing them a simple solution out of the maze of negativity of the mind. Change your mind, change your heart, change your posture, change your life. Seriously. Getting back to hockey, yes, we do a hockey column here. I used to do a hockey column on Blogger many years ago called The Smoking Puck. It was a marijuana reference. Yes. I don't smoke anymore. No, I don't smoke it no more. I'm tired of waking up on the floor. No, thank you, please. It will only make me sneeze, and then that makes it hard to find the door. I wonder if Ringo was really talking about John Lennon there. I've read Keith Richards' autobiography Life a few times. It's an amazing read. And he was like, Johnny never left my flat on his feet. And John would legendarily get up. And John also had a serious drugs problem too that he got over too. He did. And he saved some of his best years for the last years of his life, being a father to Sean and being a husband to Yoko, and learning life lessons. Live and learn. He learned, the mistakes he made with his previous life with Cynthia and Julian, and choosing drugs and the rock and roll lifestyle over family. And, he did a lot of living and learning in those 40 years, John Lennon. But George is still my favorite Beatle. We are talking hockey, not music today. For those of you that are what Stephen King would refer to as constant reader, thank you, constant reader. Thank you, constant viewer. And thank you for everyone that tunes in to this little station that can and doing the content that we do. This is my Winter Classic 2010 jersey. This is a Tim Thomas jersey. He was the goalie. We went on to win the Stanley Cup the following year. I was at this Fenway Park 2010. Was it January 1st, January 2nd? It was January 2nd, I think. And it was so bloody cold. It was so cold. I got so drunk too. Wow. This was the last times I got really, really, try to pick a fight with a doorman kind of drunk. Yeah. That was not. I'm lucky. I can live to tell. If I ran away, I'd never have the strength to go very far. How can they hear the beating of my heart? Will it grow cold? The secret that I have. Will I grow old? How will they live? How will they learn? How will they grow? I live to tell the doubt of two. I learned my lessons well. Hope I live to tell the secret. I just been running a banner all this time. Let's create a banner. Scroll across the bottom. The Smoking Puck. Subscribe to the best channel on YouTube. The Reverend Silly Network. Network, not net worth. First place, the Bruins, my Bruins. This is a Boston-based hockey column. Unashamed, unabashedly. I've been kind of tapped out of NHL hockey for a few years. You know, I'm a huge Bruins fan, so there's a whole league out there with 31 other teams and players and coaches and staffs and logos and colors and stadia. Stadia is the plural of stadium. Write that one down. You learned something here today. The Smoking Puck, the Reverend Sully Network. First place. Ain't a bad place to be. Subscribe. All right, add banner. Boom. Let's see if that works. Scroll, add banner. Oh shit. Let's see. Let's edit that and save. Ticker. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Okay, see, there we go. Technology. This is actually the job of my executive producer, Pikachu. But it's Sunday. It's Sunday morning, and it's God's day of rest. And Pika decided to, rest up a bit on this day. Thank you, Pika, for your service. So let's get to it. The Boston Bruins have played 20 games so far. Approximately a little over 1/4 of the season. The season is 82. Well, it's about 1/4 of the season. I mean, if we played 20 and a quarter games, it would literally be the 1/4 of the season. The season has 82 games. Next year, it's going back up to 84. Now, back when I was a kid in the 22 to 26 team league, we had an 84 game season, and this is something of wow. I have a week. Last week I averaged 6 hours and 58 minutes of screen time per day on this device, on my iPhone. Wow. Well, because I play YouTubes and I listen to them as podcasts. What do you listen to? Let me know in the comment section. I've been watching. Let's look at some by YouTube Hockey Sphere. Who am I following on YouTube for YouTube hockey news? I follow X Ladder. X Ladder is I got on to X ECK''S X. He's got a corgi for an icon. Let's look him up. X Ladder. Did I spell that right? Eckhart's Ladder, yeah. And he was a Star Wars thing, but he also does hockey. He's got 161,000 subscribers. And he's got a really cool hockey YouTube. And let's read a little bit more about him. I know him from back in the day, from the day wasn't too long ago, but 2020, 2021, around lockdown, he's a big Star Wars fan, and he would have the Twin Suns Squadron. He would broadcast Star Wars Squadrons group play with everyone patched in and listening to the camaraderie of his friends playing in a squadron. It's where I learned what how important the Vandersloop was, and he made this. Yes, I am that Star Wars guy, but he's a huge hockey fan, and I learned a lot. I've been learning a lot about the current state of hockey just by tuning into other, hockey channels. And like there's this one called Hockey Psychology, which is really interesting. It kind of broke down. I talked about it a few times. It kind of broke down for me the Florida Panthers style of play with Paul Maurice and what makes them so successful and what makes them an intimidating team, and perhaps why the rest of the league have stepped up to that standard. Remember, the Florida Panthers have been to 3 straight Stanley Cup Finals and have won the last 2, and they play a very rough, kind of hockey, and I feel like the rest of the league has kind of stepped up to that standard, especially with toughness too. There's like it seemed to be a return to fisticuffs and to just big hits, big checks, and a physical kind of play, balanced with penalties and rules are meant there to protect players and protect their longevity, and especially to protect elite, kind of players from not getting targeted and not getting injured. I mean, wouldn't that just imagine if Sidney Crosby got grievously injured? Do you know that my own Patrice Bergeron was grievously injured in a Saturday afternoon matinee match against the Philadelphia Flyers, where he got clubbed on his head? That almost ended his career with the brutal concussion. And I think that was like 2008 or so, but he came back from that, and so that's why they had, no checking from behind. It's called a vulnerable position. Like if my back is to you and I'm fishing for the puck on the half board and at the dasher or in the corner behind the net, you know what I mean? You could come up behind me with 3 strides of hockey skates. You can come up to about 15 miles an hour, depending on how strong your legs are and how much of a clear shot you have. And that is it's like how fast hockey players can, how fast can an average hockey player, professional, you have to make sure that your searches are very tight. Hockey player get in 3 strides. Generating. Yeah, exactly. The average professional hockey player This is an AI overview. This is an AI answer from Gemini, the Google AI here. I think that's Gemini. The average professional hockey player can reach speeds of approximately 10 to 15 miles per hour in their first 3 strides. Elite players known for their exceptional acceleration can be even faster. And one of the things about micro statistics and there's so much data that professional sports people get from watching hockey games, and this is such a plethora of new statistics that all matter somehow. I'm an old school hockey fan. There are line changes. You shoot the puck, you score the puck, you hit the person. There are fights. There are lines for the restroom and the beer and a sausage. Hockey's and then you get into this new thing of like pie charts and PowerPoint stuff. It's like this matters on so a lot of different levels. It just doesn't click with me. But there's like different ways to to skate. Like if you take smaller, like little, if you don't take big strides, you know what I mean? You can get like really more control and faster. And it's like something that, just it's all of these like little like science things that are coming, to be. Acceleration is a critical skill in professional hockey. as players rarely have the opportunity to reach their absolute top speed in a game due to the ring size and constant changes in play. The initial explosive burst over the first few meters or strides is often the most important for gaining an advantage, such as winning a puck race and avoiding an icing, but also if your back is to the player that's trying to get to the puck. I mean, it's a lot of it's intent. It's about, are you going to just hit the guy, or are you going to play the puck? Going to play the puck, and there's a lot more different intent there. So if you know that the player you're about to hit has got his head kind of down, is got his back to you, and their face to the boards and the wall, and it's your responsibility to change your energy, to maybe lessen the impact of your upcoming hit, and to protect that other player. And so we see a lot. We've come very far in that regard, especially to protecting vulnerable players. It goes a long way. What's going on in hockey this week? So yeah, I've been trying to get more and more of my head around. Like, I have this thing called Hockey Stuff. Let's share this tab. I'll show you my Twitter, my Twonker feed. Twonker. We are one twonky hunky. I follow, it's called Hockey Stuff. And everyone out there, if you're following me on Twitter X, you are more than welcome to. It's public, it's open, to follow the hockey stuff that I follow. So this is the information that I get on a daily basis. It's hockey season, so it's full of different information. I do not follow all 32 teams. I only follow the Boston Bruins, and it's hard enough, and the NHL themselves. I mean, there's only so much. I call it chick click, as in women, because women usually run the social media accounts. There is a feminization, that's inherent to having women in jobs. Yes, but there's a lot of cutesy stuff, puppies, fashion, PR fluff, and I'm like, oh God, this chick shit. So I call it chick click. You know what I mean? Instead of like clickbait, you know what I mean? Chick click. The chick will go like, "Ooh, look at him, he's hunky. Oh, and he's holding a puppy. Yeezys. Oh, look at that new shirt. Oh my goodness." Philip Ford, there is something going on overseas right now called the NHL Global Series. That is being played in Finland, I believe, and I think the Nashville Predators are playing the Pittsburgh Penguins. They're in Stockholm, Sweden, and anyone else. I think there's another set of teams that are playing too. Trying to find it. And how are you doing today? I think, the Nashville Predators, the Pittsburgh Penguins. Maybe it's just those two teams. Jeez. I should do... Pika, you got to do more homework before we start rolling the show. But it's his 800th game in his home country. That's Philip Forsberg. He's one of the assistant captains of the Nashville Predators. And he's been having a good time. I follow the American Hockey League. The American Hockey League are the top developmental league for all 32 NHL teams. American Hockey League has been a big part of my hockey life all my life. We've had the Providence Bruins. We had the Maine Mariners, who are when I was a kid, they were the Maine Mariners in Portland, Maine. They were the American Hockey League Bruins. Then they moved to Providence, Rhode Island, and became the Providence Bruins. And I love going to Providence to see a game at the Dunkin' Center, the Dunkin' Donuts Center. And because it's an inexpensive ticket. Beer is cheaper. It's a fun time. It's physical play. I love uniforms. I love different uniforms. And the AHL Wranglers, they're the Calgary Flames farm team. We have there's always been the Tuscan Roadrunners. There's been a Phoenix Roadrunners in the International Hockey League. They folded over 20 years ago, but the IHL was like the West Coast equivalent to the AHL. And they had the San Diego Gulls, the Phoenix Roadrunners, it was the Seattle Thunderbirds, and they're those beautiful old style, outfits and shirts, and but that league folded, and the American Hockey League expanded, and basically kind of took over. It's like just like naming rights and logo rights, and just if you can afford a team and have an affiliation with, so all 32 teams of the National Hockey League have a minor league system. And so there's also the East Coast Hockey League, which have the Maine Mariners who play and so they're like double A baseball. And the American Hockey League is triple A. Your next stop is the pros. I mean, the NHL, the big leagues. These are all professional hockey players. They all get paid. They're all in a players' union. They all travel. They're professional hockey players. And if you're in those leagues, you're either on the way up or the way down. You know what I mean? But, I love these smaller hockey teams in smaller places. I will go to a hockey game any night. I really will. Eric Carlson, another, they're just Swedish players. Hockey's a huge international sport. Steven Stamkos. Yeah. A lot of trade talk around him. So yeah, this is the 2-game set in Stockholm, Sweden. This is Kevin Paul DuPont. He has been one of the hockey beat writers for the Boston Globe, my local paper, for over 40 years. I grew up reading Kevin Paul DuPont. He's literally my hockey hero. He's like the person that inspired me to start blogging in a written form. His Sunday column in the Sunday sports section, the weekly roundup, was always full of kind of like gonzo-ish. Gonzo is a style of journalism that embellishes. It's satirical. It does have a skew. Remember, it's an opinion piece. And it does keep track with the who, what, where, when, how, and why of journalism, of the science of journalism. Yet gonzo is a lens, and it means to embellish, to cartoon, to be satirical. And so Kevin Paul DuPont has had a healthy dash of gonzo in his writing my entire life, and I've adopted that too. He gets kind of political sometimes, but that's that's who he is. I mean, I guess I follow a lot of comic book creators, and I try not to let hey, unless if you're extolling political violence, then you're gonna lose me there. But if you're just on your side of the fence, and you're literally talking to the other people, and I applaud that. But Kevin Paul DuPont, yeah, he's one of my hockey heroes. He's even he's easy, he's easy to talk to out here. I've talked to him a few times on Twitter X. Okay, and I'm glad that he stayed on Twitter X. A lot of left-leaning people abandoned Twitter because they had marching orders. Okay, remember Elon was evil or something? Oh my gosh, I know, huh? This is this is the Pittsburgh Penguins. So I get plenty of the other teams because I follow NHL.com, and the NHL reposted this. And this is Sidney Crosby in 2008, and this is Sidney Crosby today. You know what I mean? Just still here, still elite. And he's been an elite player, Yeah. He's won 3 Stanley Cups. That's today's games. We have 5 games today on Sunday. I'm filming this on a Sunday. This will come out tomorrow morning, on Monday morning, because there's a Bruins game on Tuesday. It's like, that's the one thing about doing sports content. It's pithy and very temporary. It's here and it's gone. We're just talking about current events. I mean, because what we're going to talk about right now is the fact. Happy Sunday. I followed the Boston Bruins. Like I said, I love these new uniforms. I really do. Let's see. The Bruins are in first place, in sole possession. Last night, there was a 3-way tie for first place. The Ottawa Senators beat us the previous evening, getting those 2 points. Before that, the Bruins and Canadians were tied for first place. Then last night, there was a 3-way tie with the Ottawa Senators, Bruins, and Montreal Canadiens. Hockey night in Canada, Saturday night. We had the Bruins being hosted by those Montreal Canadiens, and then a great, beautiful, original 6 rivalry matchup. I was so tired yesterday. I really didn't do much. I went to bed early-ish, but I got 10 hours of sleep, which is like But I wish I went to the pub and watch this game, because it was a wonderful game to, I usually pay attention a little bit, but then it's bedtime. I put the phone display down and I go to bed, and I don't look at my phone again until 3:38 a.m. when my alarm goes off to wake me up for work to start my day. Here, let's look at some. Hopefully we won't get a strike for this. This is,
Boston Bruins, he can't find a hole in Swayman.
Shut off your audio. Oh! Wow. Try to. I think he got 2 assists last night. Let's see. Shit. Yeah, Pasta had 2 points last night, 5 shots on goal, and 2 assists. Kudzinov he's number 92, had the goal. Mason Laurie, who rode the pine for 4 straight games. Young defenseman had a goal. That's good when defensemen step up. Nikita Zadorov had an assist, and he got into a vicious scrap. The 6'7", 250-pound Russian defenseman free agent signing. We got him for the next 5 years, and he is my choice for the next captain of the Boston Bruins. He really is. I love those Winnipeg Jets uniforms. I love the old style ones too, but this is one of the few and far, like the new logo and the new colors. These are like, and they kind of respect the old colors of the Atlanta Thrashers, who this team formerly was. Remember the old Winnipeg Jets? They moved to Phoenix, Arizona, and became the Phoenix/Arizona Coyotes, and who are now the Utah Mammoth. But yeah, we had a busy night last night in hockey. Check it out. This is a disappointment. Like, here is a Saturday night. It's a weekend. You know what I mean? We have the Bruins playing the Canadiens, an original 6 matchup. You have the Toronto Maple Leafs in Chicago, an original 6 matchup. You have the Red Wings playing the Sabres, and you have the New York Rangers playing Columbus. Who made the choice that you couldn't have had the Rangers play the Red Wings that night and have all 6 original 6 matchups on a Saturday night? Saturday night in Canada is called Hockey Night in Canada, and the CBC, their biggest show of the week. Kids would say you get your bath, and then it's time for Hockey Night in Canada. It's bath time, supper time, then Hockey Night in Canada, where you can stay up late in front of the television, and then Sunday is time for church. That's why you got your bath, wash your hair and everything so you look nice. But I'm just saying, like, who dropped the ball on that? Was it the chicken marketing? I know you can't blame everything on the chicken marketing, Sully. And that's a joke, too. Remember, there's a lot of satire in this show. There is no punching down on marginalized or vulnerable people here. Only Rangers fans. What do you think of these Seattle Kraken uniforms? I'm befuddled by them. I mean, this is like, maybe if we catch them, I'll show you an example. What is that supposed to be? That's supposed to be a squid or something, or a giant squid. What is a kraken? An octopus, or a giant squid, and that's what's supposed to be the tentacle of the what kind of pod is that? An octeropod or what? I don't know. What is a squid? It's a marine mollusk with an elongated body, head, and 10 limbs, 8 arms, and 2 longer tentacles that are lined with suckers. They're called cephalopods. Cephalopods, yes. That's what the word I was looking for. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Please tip your bartenders. Yeah. And it's just an extra jumbo king size episode of the Smoking Puck today, hanging out, talking hockey. But we were in first place. The Bruins are in first place. We won last night against our rivals and division rivals. They've been our division rivals, and we always play the Montreal Canadiens very hard. Charlie McAvoy exits after appearing to take a slap shot to the face. We'll find out more details about him. He's coming on really huge. He's been paired up with Nikita Zadorov. And so he's bringing out a certain confidence in McAvoy. I'm starting to see what people say when they say Charlie McAvoy is an elite NHL defenseman. I'm starting to see, like, it's good that, he's coming on now. I mean, it's been a few years now. He's, we stuck with him. He's talented. He is an assistant captain. He was an assistant captain last year too. He's been injury, I don't want to say prone, but he's been snake bitten. I love these uniforms. I love these new uniforms. They're so crisp, clean, old school looking. So to see the Bruins out there playing the Canadiens, this is great. That's Nikita Zadorov, of whom should be the next Bruins captain, in my humble opinion. Here are those Providence Bruins X-Men uniforms. They are you can see the red belt across the sash, and the stripes here are meant to emulate Wolverine's stripes. So these are kind of like Wolverine inspired X-Men uniforms it's like Providence Bruins comic book night. I know. But yeah, I mean, look at these pictures. I love this year's uniforms. It's an improvement. It really is. Ain't that cool? I think that's cool. I love Montreal. It's a great place to hang out and a great place to catch a game. See, but it's cancer, chicks are feminizing hockey social media. Well, more chicks make buying choices. More chicks are on social media, and they spend money. And there you go. There's your your hunks in pink and purple. But this is cancer awareness. Hockey fights cancer. I lost my mom to cancer. You think I'm being an asshole? No, I'm not. It's a special. There are always special jersey nights. I mean, we also had military appreciation night earlier this week on Veterans Day, and they had camo, olive drab green style warm-up jerseys as well. I mean, it's the same thing, But watch this just real quick. I mean, look at this. Look, doesn't that? You get the one-timer, tic-tac-toe. Ain't that great? So hopefully we're not getting any. I'll be on the lookout for any kind of copyright strikes or anything. I also follow this one, NHL Rumor Report. And so this one's pretty interesting where it's like, this is NHL rumors, like, who's getting traded. So it's a good way to get back in touch with the game. Like, there are 32 teams out there. The talent pool is that good that there are going to be 64 elite players, maybe 90. If you have 3 good players on every team, 3 elite players on every team, the Bruins apparently do. We got David Pastrnak, Charlie McAvoy, and goaltender Jeremy Swayman. These are our 3 players with the highest contracts. You know what I mean? There are 4. They are set to a different standard, and they could be considered elite, especially Pasta. And I'm coming around on McAvoy. I really am. I've been very impressed and proud of him. I think he's flourishing under Nikita Zadorov's partnership on the ice. I think there's something to it. It brings up, Zadorov might give him permission to be tougher because because Zadorov is a huge, tough player. I'm trying to find the fight he got into last night because he got into a scrap. I love these Sabres uniforms. I really do. Bruins win. And so the Bruins, as of this morning, are in sole possession of first place in the Atlantic Division. Not the Metropolitan, not the Pacific, not the Western. Right now, there's the Western Conference, the Eastern Conference. Kings shut out the Senators. See, that's what helped us out. And and this is what I follow on Twitter for hockey stuff. And hockeyfights.com. Hockeyfights.com have it. And I hope you're having a great day. I hope you continue. And Kevin Paul DuPont just keeps laying down like all these stats and stuff. Almost there. Oh, wow. Charlie McAvoy got into a fight last night. No, it's a hit.
It has been a physical first period, and that.
Oh, see what I'm talking about? And he pushes him off too. He's playing the puck. So by playing the body, he's trying to get the guy off the puck. Oh, see, that's what I'm talking about. But he's out there with Lindstrom. Was that the right Lindstrom? Because we get 2 Lindstroms. I get them confused often. No, there's Zadorov, and he's changing up. You can see him in the background. I love hockey. Hockey is the best sport in the world. Zadorov hates the Canadians, and I'm loving it. I saw a good fluff piece. Zadorov has been watching videos of the 2011 Bruins. He wants to bottle the spirit of that championship team. And awesome. Okay, where is it? I should just rivalry renewed. See, there he is. Look at that. Look at that. Look at like that fan slapping on the glass. Look at all the look at that. This is beautiful. This looks like old-time hockey to me. I love this. Also, Tanner Janot and Arbor Zishaj got into a scrap last night. And here we go. Nikita Zadorov.
Scammers demand payment with gift cards. Don't share codes or personal details.
8 goals so far this season. First place in the Atlantic Division, potentially up for.
He needs some smelling salts. After that, let's see this. Oh, bingo bango! Right off the face off. Look, they dropped gloves. So there's no instigator. No one. You got to keep your helmet on, or that's an equipment violation. Remember, Zadorov is 6'7", 250 pounds. The first person to fall loses the fight in a way. I mean, unless he gets right back up. I mean, like, there he goes, and you can take your opponent's helmet off like that, so you don't slice your hand open on someone's fucking face shield. You know what I mean? But you can't take your own off. And he taps him on the back. He's like, all right, look at that. Voting results. Who won this fight? 88%. So this is hockeyfights.com. And see, tapping your stick on the dasher and the boards like that, that's like, way to go, guy. Way to go. Way to go. There were only 24 votes in this. And but Nikita Zadorov has the, he needs a C on that sweater. I'm serious. I am serious. Yeah, and that's just a great way to frame an episode too. Let's just look at my Twitter feed. This is my Twitter folder, and it's called Hockey Stuff. And you can find it in my profile. I'm at Reverend Sully. Just like out here, Reverend Sully. You'll notice, you'll recognize the header picture. It's the same one I got on YouTube. You'll recognize my iconic. Why don't you just show everyone? Stop being a jerk. Yeah, you know that one, huh? Eric O'Sullivan, aka Reverend Sully, contains satire and humor, perpetual misfit, and potentially offensive. Genuine and authentic, spirituality, gratitude, cooking, comic books, geeky and nerdy. There I am. Back in 2001, barefoot in my robe, officiating my friend's wedding. The robe makes the pictures look legit. And, so yeah. Ain't that cool? And that's and just, let's see, articles, media, likes. Are you able to get to that? I think it's public. I don't know. I'm looking at my own thing. So you let me know if you can access my hockey stuff folder on Twitter, X. Yeah, and the Bruins are in first place. It's a good place to be. Is it too soon to be overjoyed and happy about stuff? I don't know. It's a quarter away in the season. There are 82 games in a season, 84 next season. So we are a quarter through the season. We started off great with 3 straight wins. We then went to lose the next 6 games. And therefore giving us a lot of perspective on the tumultuous nature of a new coach, basically a new team in rebuild. I mean, I've been looking here's another one. Let's I've been asking Grok questions. I like to ask questions from because I don't understand a lot. I'm a smart guy, but I don't understand a lot of stuff, especially when it comes to the micro statistics that are in vogue these days. Like, what are dangerous shots? All shots are dangerous. Look at Ray Bourque. He used to, practice a clearing technique. He would, it would be a shot on goal that he would shoot from behind his own goalie. And I've seen him score on this before. Kay Whitmore, Hartford Whalers. I mean, just Ray Bourque could clear the puck and get a shot on net. And that's every shot's kind of dangerous. Any shot on net could go in. You know what I mean? Any given shot at any given time. If your goalie can see it, the puck, he can basically, save the puck. And I ask Grok a question because I pay attention to more and more of the financials and how the money ball matters more in the NHL today than it ever did before, with the 50-50 revenue split, with the new collective bargaining agreement, and with salary cap being raised every year. In the next 2 years, the salary cap is potentially going to be raised by $20 million to $25 million just next season, with that revenue split kind of stuff. The NHL is a hugely successful merchandising, mammoth, and I don't want to say that's the Utah team, but a new jersey and a new team and a new logo. Wow, that team raking in the cash. But the Boston Bruins have consistently over the past several years been in the top 5 of the most profitable NHL teams, always with $1 billion in sales. I don't know what revenue is. I'm a chef. I'm not an economist. God bless the pause button on this thing. I can go refresh my cup of Dell's coffee. Get some Dell's coffee in your life. Freshly roasted, freshly brewed, freshly ground. Having fresh coffee will change your coffee drinking experience. This is not a paid advertisement. Dell is my friend. But what did I ask Rock about the salary cap? And because I know that the Bruins have very, very little wiggle room. And some of this is like leftover from other contracts of people that you've traded too, because that's part of the deal. You trade someone, a team's going to be like, I can only take on so much of their contract. You know what I mean? You have to pay X amount, and we'll pay the rest of it. Like, do you want to make this deal or not? That's part of the economics of it. So I asked Grok this: when it comes to room in this year's salary cap, Grok, level with me. How screwed are we, the Boston Bruins? We really can't make trades right now, can we? And so Grok, in an interesting tone of voice, in a conversational tone, all right, level with you. The Bruins aren't nearly as screwed as the doomsday scrolls on X or Reddit might have you believing right now. Yeah, the cap crunch is real. Midseason predictions as of today peg Boston as about $746,000 in breathing room under the $95.5 million ceiling, with a $94.75 million hit from their 23-man roster, including some retained salary on Brandon Carlo, of whom we traded in the March 2025 bloodbath to the Toronto Maple Leafs for Fraser Minton and a draft pick. So that's rebuilding. That's tight, no question. It's enough for taxi squad tweaks. That's the AHL and ECHL taxi squad, calling up, players. And then there's different things. If you have a player on long-term injury list, there's a way for the teams not to get penalized with that salary. No longer, you're still paying that player. They're under contract, but you're not subjected to that hit on the salary cap anymore, in a way that you have some relief that you can get a replacement player, and then you're gonna have to worry about it later on when the player comes off a long-term injury reserve. That's a different classification than obviously the short term. He'll be back in 8. Look at Jake Hughes in New Jersey. He had an off ice accident. He's at supper with his teammates, and he slices his finger open while cutting his steak, I think. And he had surgery. He's on the disabled list for 8 weeks until he heals. He can be back on the ice and try it out in 6 weeks. Apparently, it was maybe he was trying to play like Lance Hendrickson and Bill Paxton and James Cameron's 1986 Aliens with the knife trick. Maybe they were doing something stupid. Boys being boys, who knows? Maybe he was just cutting a steak. I don't know. I don't have an answer for that. I just made that up. Okay, but the Brandon, including some retained salary on Brandon Carlo, that's tight, no question. It's enough for a taxi squad tweaks or calling up a cheap AHL kid if someone gets nicked up. But it's not the war chest you'd want for wheeling and dealing like it's 2011 all over again. Yeah, I mean, there was some wheeling and dealing around 2010, 2011, getting Chris Kelly, you know what I mean? And just, he was a huge part of that puzzle, I think. Getting, Mark Recchi the year before, There was such an X factor in the locker room. I loved having Mark Recchi. You know, if this wasn't, this is a 2010 Winter Classic jersey, and if it wasn't a Tim Thomas jersey, I'd want a Mark Recchi jersey. Yeah, I love Mark Recchi. Seriously, 3-time Stanley Cup champion. He was a true X factor. Back to Grok, please. Let's rock the Grok. Drop your Groks and ask and go kick some rocks. That said, this year, assuming we're talking the 2025-26 grind, is not a total write-off for moves. It's just handcuffs. You can make trades, but they're going to be surgical, not splashy. Here's the straight dope. There's Puckpedia. So it's heavy hitters like Pasternak's $11.25 million a year, Charlie McAvoy's $99.5 million a year, Swayman's $8.25 million a year, and Marchand, if he's still drawing his full one at 6 point, I don't know how that matters because Marchand actually just signed a long-term deal. I think it was a contract extension, though. I mean, maybe I'll have to ask a different question about the Marchand deal. And how it, but it eats up 35% of the salary cap pie right there. Then you get mid-tier guys like Zaka at, $4.75 million, Geeky at a $2 million restricted free agent projection. You also got Zadorov, who I think is in the $4 million club too per year, for 5 years. Next captain, please. No long-term injury reserve magic yet. No major long-term injury qualifying for relief, knock on wood. So you're playing with the full hit. If someone like Martian goes down long-term, that flip scripts overnight. See, this is like, okay, and this is a good example of why you have to, question Grok. And especially if something immediately cuts across the grain of your bullshit meter, be like, wait a second. I'm going to ask him right now. How does Martian matter? Didn't he sign an 7-year deal? With Florida? $6 years, inked back, total of the trade, flashback, the trade. Sweeney shipped the captain to Florida for a conditional 2027 second rounder, upgrades to a first if the Panthers win 2 rounds of the playoff, and Martian suits up for 50% of those gains. Crucially, here we go. Yeah, this is the part of the question. Crucially, Boston retained 50% of his original $6.25 million cap hit, dropping their burden to $3 million for the remainder of that season. He post trade, he lit it up. He was in the the retention is the key sauce. Without it, they'd be deeper in the red, starting at the full retention. I don't get what that means. Why it doesn't screw Boston anymore. And okay. Well, and that's that. Sheesh, we can go in an hour? All right, let's wrap it up in an hour then. We've been talking hockey, defying the advice of Dale Arnold, radio and television Bruins play-by-play personality. And he said once a long time ago on a radio show he had, a weekly called Hockey Talk, that you can really only talk about hockey for 15 minutes because it's kind of a simple game. But hey, that was 30 odd years ago. We've invented more to talk about when it comes to hockey. And a lot of that has to do with the Moneyball aspects of how the salary cap, dictates the level of talent you have on your team, but does it dictate your challenge of succeeding on the ice? That a lot of that comes from the hearts of the players, their skill sets. Sure, I mean there are like 32 teams. Am I truly supposed to believe that since the Bruins have 3 elite players, that there's 90 elite players in that talent pool of 800 odd players? It's roughly like less than 14% of the league. It's over 10, but under 15. I am no math major. Trust me. And I welcome you to call me out on anything. I could ask Grok some more, but what's this? The Ask Grok show? Grok, is this true? I ask that, and that's a good question to ask. But also, just call out the AIs as soon as you see some, and remember the edible mushroom meme. It's 2 panels. It's sequential art. The edible, hey AI, is this edible? Is this mushroom edible? And then the second panel is the gravestone, and the AI apologizing in that same AI apologistic kind of the response that they have when you call them out on disseminating bad information based on a prima facie query. Like, I have access to the same internet as you do, AI. How am I getting the better answer? AI is still learning. That's true. That's what it is. And with the money, with the money ball stuff, of contracts and salary caps, that is like, you need to. I think to have hockey conversations. I think it's more important to wrap your head around the salary cap than it is, and then maybe start warming up to micro statistics. Like, that is my next thing. I really, so hockey people out there, open invite. Maybe we can jam on a show and you can explain it to me like a 5-year-old, like what Denzel Washington said in the movie Philadelphia, the one that really won him the Oscar. That and Remember the Titans. I didn't like Training Day, but Denzel won that for Best Actor for Training Day. And I firmly believe that, that was for Philadelphia and Remember the Titans, because that Denzel's the man. Oh, that's just my 2 cents. But yeah, we are hockey fans. This is the Smoking Puck, the Boston-based hockey vlog, my old hockey column now in video format. And we have returned, and we're going to get used to this new style of hockey. It's no longer just shoot, skate, hit them, dump and chase, change them up, putting on the foil. Putting on the foil, though, it's got to return. The hockey is showing why. It's show, don't tell. And it's showing why it's one of the best sports in the world. Sheer grace and utter brutality. The yin and yang of sports. Seriously. I mean, you're never going to find a more fun game and more 60, football's, baseball's baseball. Basketball's a transition sport and everything. If you want to talk about how rules, are there to protect talent. Yes. Exactly. NBA is a really good example of it. Or is it a good example? There's always been the argument for the past, almost 30 years now, the Sun Belt and the NBAization of the NHL, turning the National Hockey League into the National Basketball Association. But that was the very good, successful model. They usually share stadia. There's a lot of chance that your hockey team shares the same arena as your NBA basketball team, correct? Am I right or wrong? I'm pretty sure, So it kind of like, that is the rising tide rises both of those ships, I feel. Wow, we've been going an hour on a Smoking Puck. That's great. Awesome. Thank you so much for tuning in today for this week's episode of the Smoking Puck. My Boston Bruins, sole possession of first place. Let's see how long that stays. Will Marco Sturm, head coach, is his philosophy getting through to the players? It might be. It really is. Is he sorting out? He's figuring out who's who and what's up and what's where, and using that space-time on the ice most effectively, and really letting the players play. I mean, that's an interesting thing. The Bruins are 8-2, 8 wins and 2 losses in the past 10 games out of the 20 we've played. Great. I mean, it's a good time to be a Bruins fan. Will the other shoe drop? Of course. Will the Olympic break mess with the momentum of this season if we continue on a meteoric rise? Who knows? We'll be there, though, covering it week by week. The Smoking Puck. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please like and subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. We're a small growing channel. We would want to earn your subscription. Thank you so much. We also talk about cooking, spirituality, pop culture, and anything else that suits our fancy. So much so, this channel is a potpourri that it befuddles Lady Algorithm on how to suggest this channel. So smash that like button, leave a comment, smash that hype button, whatever that does. But any and all of these, it makes the algorithm more and more aware of this little show that can. And talking hockey to other hockey fans. And I invite conversations. I would love to have a conversation with Eckhart's Ladder about hockey. Something in this kind of format. I would love to talk hockey with you, Eck. Seriously. Thank you for all of the Squadrons content. That was fun. That was a fun way to spend time. I wish I had 3 other friends to plug in and talk to, like, in a Squadron match like that. That was fun. That was like hanging out with my friends, if I could hang out with my friends on a Squadrons, game. That was so much fun. Hey, let's do the Vandersloop. Who's got my 6? Shit like that. What's a Vandersloop? That's another question for another day. God bless. Namaste. Good luck. And we will see you on the ice when we light up and smoke that smoking puck. All righty. Cheers. Bye-bye. And for Pikachu and I, here from our Boston studios, the hub of the multiverse, thanking you for tuning in, smashing that like button, and subscribe. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.